Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin and today I'm building a workshop. To do that I need to know how much lumber I need to purchase, and to know that I need to know what I'm going to be building. Blender is my tool of choice when designing in 3D. So this is a piece of fully parametric dimensional lumber made entirely with geometry nodes. It's got a slick little modifier interface right here. I can select between stick and sheet material. I can select the size of stick or sheet, nominal sizes of course, and I can add more later. And then I have a slider for the length. I also have a gizmo for even easier modification. And for convenience, each piece of lumber has a dimension on it showing either the length for sticks, or if we're using sheets, the length, width, and thickness. So let's take a look at how I'm actually using this in my design. So this is the workshop. I have it broken down into a couple top-level collections, primarily framing and sheeting. So we can turn off the sheeting layer and just take a look at the framing, which is also broken down into walls, which we can look at individually. Each section of lumber is individually placed and scaled appropriately as if we were actually building the wall with these components. That way you can know how many and what length pieces you need. This also helps avoid problems where things could intersect, and you can work ahead of that, fix problems before they become real problems. The benefit of this method is that if you need to change anything or move any wall sections or components, it's really easy, and you get to work through it in the exact same way that you'd be working with lumber itself. So you can kind of work through the problems before you run into them out on the site. The geometry node logic is pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at that. And here is the node tree, broken into two sections. The first is for things like 2x4s, 2x6s, just linear length. And the second is for sheets such as OSB and plywood. Quick rundown of how this works. Our group input just brings in all of our variables. Since Blender manages all of the units internally as meters, all of the values inside of this node tree are in meters, and we just have the value type as a subtype of distance. That way it displays as inches on the outside, but internally all meters, and you just have to manage that. Here I am generating the dimensions of the lumber, so 2x2, 2x4, 2x6, just by adding 2 inches to 1.75 as a base, and then combining all of that together to make a cube that is the length defined by the linear gizmo and width defined by this menu switch here. Placing that on the corner. This distribute points on faces and convex hull are intended to round the edges of the geometry, so I don't have perfect edges. This just makes it so that if you have a stack of boards up against each other, it's much easier to see where one ends and the next starts. So just ease of use thing. And then I'm using these nodes here to put together the dimension tag and place that on the end of the board. Similarly for sheet material, except I've got 2 linear gizmos for the X and the Y, and then those are going and combining to make a cube size of the sheet, and then offsetting it to keep the corner at the origin. I only have a couple thicknesses set up right now, but we can adjust that or add more later. And then again, combining all these variables to make the dimension tag at the corner. Then combining that up all together. Then I have this menu switch here to switch between stick and sheet, and then setting materials so that it looks something like wood. Once the structure is put together and it looks good, now I just have to go through and count up the sticks of lumber, note what sizes, the thickness and width of them, as well as the length, and then convert that to nominal sizes that I can purchase. Then I can have a pretty good confidence that this will be ready to order, and I'll have what I need, and I'll have double checked everything before starting to build. And that is really it. I just wanted to share this with you guys and hope you enjoyed. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.